All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something really interesting today, those tiny little differences between Filipino English and American English. You know, the small words and phrases that, believe it or not, can make a huge impact on how your communication lands, especially in a professional setting.
Does this sentence sound familiar? I passed my report already. I bet it does. It's a super common phrase in the Philippines, and it's perfectly clear. Everyone knows exactly what you mean. But just keep this sentence in the back of your mind, because we're going to circle back to it.
So the big question is there a way to say this that might sound a little more typical and American business English? And the short answer is absolutely yes. And that's what this is all about. We're going to look at a few examples where a tiny tweak can make your English sound even more natural to an American ear.
Now listen, this is super important. We're not talking about right versus wrong. Filipino English is its own valid, awesome dialect. Think of this more like adding a new tool to your communication toolkit. It's about code switching. You know, adjusting your language just a bit to fit a specific situation, like an international team meeting.
All right, first up, case number 1. This is a classic from the workplace, following up. So you might say, I'll follow up you tomorrow. The message? Totally clear. The intention? Spot on. But to an American English speaker, it might sound like one tiny little piece of the puzzle is missing. So what is it? And there it is. It's that one little word, with. Isn't that wild? Just adding that one small preposition, with, makes the sentence, I'll follow up with you, sound completely standard in American English. The reason is that follow up with is what we call a phrasal verb. Think of it like a package deal. Those 3 words belong together. You need the with to connect the action of following up to the person. So, I'll follow up with you tomorrow. Perfect.
Okay, let's move on to our second case. This one's all about sharing information or, telling a great story.
Again, this is perfectly understandable. Let me tell you the story. We know what's about to happen. But there's a tiny word in there that an American speaker would almost always just skip. And check this out. It's the exact opposite of our last example. This time, we're not adding a word, we're taking one away. That little word to just disappears in the more common American phrasing. So what's going on here? Well, it all comes down to a little bit of grammar. Don't worry, it's simple. The verb tell is what's called a transitive verb. All that really means is that the action, the telling, can go directly to the person without needing a connector word like to. You just tell someone something. Easy enough, right? Okay, time to come full circle and get back to our very first example. This case isn't about adding or removing words, it's about word order. Where do you put things?
And here it is again. I passed my report already. Now that we've looked at those little connecting words, let's break down the structure of this sentence. The word we're really going to focus on here is already.
So in Filipino English, it's really common and feels very natural to pop that word already at the very end of the sentence. It kind of gives it some punch, some emphasis that the job is done. In American English, though, the flow is a little different. That word already usually likes to jump the line. It moves up to sit right before the main action. This structure is just what you're going to hear way more often.
So the main tip here is to try moving already right before the verb. And hey, here's a little bonus tip. Words like submitted or turned in are really common choices for work and school stuff instead of past. So putting it all together, I already submitted my report. Sounds great.
All right, for our final case study, let's switch gears from work to our personal lives. How do we talk about our friends?
What a nice thing to say, right? He's very close with me. And again, the meaning is crystal clear. But this is one more of those subtle situations where the common preposition choice just changes a little bit between dialects. The whole thing really boils down to this one tiny word swap. With versus to. While you'll hear close with a lot in Filipino English, you'll find that close to is by far the more common choice in American English.
And this is a really key distinction. Close with is not grammatically wrong. You might even hear it sometimes. But if you're talking about frequency, about what sounds most natural for describing a personal bond, close to is the hands-down winner. We're very close to each other. Whew, okay, we've covered a surprising amount of ground with just a handful of tiny words. So let's pull all 4 of these tools together for a quick recap.
So here they are, all in one place, your 4 key adjustments. Remember, you follow up with someone,
You just tell someone, no to necessary, you put already before the action, and for a good friend, you're usually close to them.
And that's really the heart of it all. None of the original phrases were incorrect, but making these small, simple tweaks can make a huge difference in how natural your sentences sound, helping your message land just that much more smoothly.
It really gets you thinking, doesn't it? Prepositions, word order, these little building blocks of language have such a massive effect on dialect and rhythm and style. It just goes to show you, sometimes mastering communication is really a game of inches.